Howdy and welcome to Lead to Grow, Lesson 2 on Principle versus Expediency. In Lesson 2, we're going to explore recognizing principled and expedient behaviors. And may I start by asking a few questions? Do you live by intention or impulse? When we choose principled behavior, we understand that we are personally responsible for our lives. We do not blame people, circumstances, or environments. This behavior is a product of what? Our choices, driven by our core values and purpose, rather than on conditions driven by what? Feelings. Through principled behavior, people begin to work on the things they can do something about by working on themselves instead of working and worrying about external conditions. They are able to even influence those conditions. In other words, if you really want to improve your situation, the most positive way you can influence your situation is to work on the one thing over which you have control. It's you. Those who exhibit expedient behavior wait for something to happen or someone to take care of them. But people with expedient behaviors achieve success by creating proactive solutions to their problems. They seize opportunities to do whatever it takes to get the job done in a principled way. So, is it outside in or inside out? People with expedient behaviors have a paradigm that is outside in. They tell themselves that what's out there has to change before I can change. People with principled behaviors have a paradigm that is inside out. They tell themselves that I can have an effective positive change on what's out there by working on being who they are, living out their core values and purpose. Living your core values means treating people not according to who they are, but who you are. Those who are principled think about what is right in the long term. They are self-disciplined to do what is right, even though it might not be the easiest or the quickest or the most enjoyable thing to do. In short, principled, character-driven people are willing to do things emotional people will not bother to do. Character-driven people enjoy long-term success, while expedient, emotion-driven people usually wind up on the road to where? Failure. People who behave in a principled way make better decisions and better decisions faster as they seek what is right and then hold to those convictions. Because they are proactive, they focus on what's important versus merely what is urgent. So, Are you taking responsibility for your choices without blaming others? Is there one decision that you're considering today that you can approach in a more principled way? How so? In Matthew 20, chapter 23, verses 25 through 28, Jesus said to the crowds and to his disciples, "Woe to you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites! For you clean the outside of the cup and the plate, but inside they are full of greed and self-indulgence. You blind Pharisees, first clean the inside of the cup and the plate, that the outside also may be clean. Woe to you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites! For you are like whitewashed tombs, which outwardly appear beautiful, but within are full of dead people's bones and all uncleanliness. So you also outwardly appear righteous to others, but within you are full of hypocrisy and lawlessness." So how do you recognize principle and expedient behaviors? Well, do you like eating Krispy Kreme donuts? Man, they are lip smacking good. Have you ever eaten a Krispy Kreme donut when it comes out fresh and still warm? They literally melt in your mouth. Eating a donut requires little discipline. You simply pick your favorite donut, or maybe 3 of them, pay for it, and enjoy the deliciousness. It is an expedient emotional experience until you weigh in the next day. Because I love to eat and because I need a stress reliever, I've made a principled decision to stay active on a regular basis. In fact, I've been exercising 6 days a week, almost every week, for over 38 years. I've ridden my bicycle over 100,000 miles. I've sweated off countless calories while swimming and running. I've even tried CrossFit. These days, I just focus on bicycling and long walks. This is why I have said discipline is doing what you don't want to do today so you can go do what you want to do tomorrow. Donut eating and regular exercise are perhaps obvious examples of expedient and principled behavior. But most of the situations we encounter present us with a choice to act in either an expedient or a principled way. Consider the following examples, recognizing principle and expedient behaviors, starting with personal examples. In an expedient way, we interrupt others early and frequently without trying to understand what they're saying. In a principled way, we listen to others without interrupting. Expedient, postponing or avoiding periodic checkups and preventive activities because you have other more what? Pleasant priorities. But in a principled way, you take care of your health and your possessions with periodic physicals for you and oil changes for your vehicles. In an expedient way, doing what you feel like doing until you risk being late and then speeding down the streets and through intersections to arrive at a scheduled event. But in a principled way, allowing ample time to drive to your destination safely. So, considering the following examples of recognizing principle and expedient behaviors with business examples in the area of human resources. Expediently, hiring in haste and regret at leisure. Principle, screening applicants carefully and always checking references. Expediently, taking a new employee to his or her desk, briefly describing duties and going back to your daily task. Principally is providing new employees with ample guidance before giving them assignments. In an expedient way, making quick and easy promises to employees without verifying that the promises can be fulfilled without violating company policies and procedures. In a principled way, is checking with your supervisor before promises or doing anything for a subordinate regarding his or her employment. So let's continue the following business examples in the areas of business meetings and in customer relations. In business meetings, expediently arriving for a meeting at your convenience. In a principled way, consideringly arriving on time so others aren't delayed. In an expedient way, holding meetings without prior information about the purpose of the meeting. In a principled way, announcing the purpose of the meeting along with the time and place. In the area of customer relations, expediently making unrealistic commitments to customers in order to get their agreement to buy. In a principled way, being clear and forthright with customers and prospects regarding the nature and the timing of deliverables. Let's continue to consider the following business examples in the areas of leading and managing. Well, expediently, fire, ready, aim. Or in a principled way, ready, aim, and then fire. In an expedient way, continually reacting quickly when things go wrong, repetitively. In a principled way, tracking and analyzing patterns of problematic occurrences and designing preventative measures. In an expedient way, deciding or doing something quickly without checking with others. However, in a principled way is when facing a challenge or an opportunity, immediately seeking out people who can help you make a better decision, will have to carry out the decision, or will be impacted by it. Well, let's continue to consider the following business examples with more on the areas of leading and managing. expediently as a supervisor or key staff member, doing everything you can in order to stay in control and be sure things are done to whose liking? Yours. In a principal way, delegating to others whenever possible, even though you probably could do it more quickly and more to whose liking? Your liking by yourself. In an expedient way, orally giving the same instructions repeatedly each time a challenge or an opportunity arises. However, in a principled way, investing the time to develop helpful systems, procedures, and checklists for repetitive future use. Well, in lesson 2, we have explored recognizing principled and expedient behaviors. All of these examples of principled behaviors require the faith and discipline to invest in appropriate communications, coordination, and cooperation with others. But the rewards are growth and success. Well, do you like eating donuts? If so, do you exercise to offset the calories? Do you have the consistent discipline to make principled decisions? Which example of principled behavior are you going to put into practice? And in this lesson 2 on principle versus expediency, write down 1 or 2, even 3 action items that you want to take today. And this concludes lesson 2 on principle versus expediency.